Hello and welcome to the show. This week I'm joined by Veronica Morgan. Veronica is a seasoned property expert and founder of Good Deeds Property Buyers. We explore with Veronica her role as a seller's advocate.
We just want to point them in the right direction. Our mission is to help people make good decisions. And the amount of people that get coming to us saying, look, I need help choosing a selling agent.
Veronica shares how her advocacy service empowers property sellers, helping them to navigate the complexities of the real estate market to achieve the best possible outcomes. From negotiating with agents to strategically positioning properties, Veronica's insights offers a fresh perspective on maximising success in today's competitive market. And then we lift the lid on hidden fees, on conflicts of interest, overcharging and side deals being struck between Strata managers and suppliers. Bushy Martin talks to Amanda Farmer, who is a 20-year veteran Strata lawyer. Before we start, I want to thank our supporters and content partners realty.com.au, BMT Tax Depreciation, Know How Property Finance and Apiro Marketing. You'll find us on all podcast players as The Property Hub, also on the Southern Cross Oz Stereo Network, on Hot Copper, and all social media platforms.
At Know How Property, we're more than just the best residential and commercial loan arranger. We craft a plan for your lifestyle and future with our 3-stage strategy. We start with your lifestyle strategy. Whether it's finding your dream home in the perfect location or adding to your residential or commercial portfolio, we listen to what you want and need to do. Next, we create a financial strategy. We dive deep to uncover what you can do, ensuring your finances are set up for success. Finally, we implement our validation strategy. We become your John West of property because it's the property we reject that makes sure you get the best. Know How Property. Smart, tailored strategies for your life and investments. Unlock bonus content now as a premium subscriber.
It's so easy to underestimate the level of stress involved in either buying or selling real estate, because it's something that most people don't do very often. Multiply that stress level 10 times when it's someone my age. There is a need for some special consideration when someone in their later years needs to sell to move to retirement. It's not that agents generally aren't caring, but they are busy and maybe lack the understanding and, dare I say, patience to be there to add certainty and to offer assurance. That's why my interest was tweaked when my good friend and very talented agent, Veronica Morgan, told me about her seller advocacy service. Veronica, welcome to the show. You and I have been talking for many, many years, and I'm just looking at that photograph in the back there, location. That's a taxi back, I think, isn't it?
It is a taxi back. Yes, I don't have a lot of memorabilia around. It is memorabilia. It's a good 10 years now since we last filmed. So, yeah, and my hair's gone too. So, but that taxi back's still there in the background.
It's looking good, your hair. Hey, listen, really, really interested in this. And as you know, in our conversation, I had a little bit of experience in this in my selling years as well. Now I'm not an active agent, but I just think there's such a huge need for this. Tell me, what is it that drew you to this, Veronica? Was there some sort of special personal experience?
I guess, I've been now a real estate agent now for 24 years. And over that time, you do build up loyal clients who come to us, and we encourage our clients in the buyer's agency side of things to come to us with any property related question. And we just want to point them in the right direction. Our mission is to help people make good decisions. And the amount of people that get coming to us saying, look, I need help choosing a selling agent. Now, when we were doing that in our own backyard, that was very easy. We said, absolutely, yes, we'd recommend people. But then they were increasingly coming to us and saying in the middle of the campaign, look, the agent's telling me this, but I don't know whether to believe it or not. I'm not really sure we actually went down the right path with auction. I'm not exactly sure what to expect to sell for. And all of a sudden, it became really obvious to us that people were selling properties, and the agents may well have known what they were doing, but the owners themselves, there's this inherent distrust for sales agents, rightly or wrongly, and they're like, I sort of socially were told not to trust agents. I don't really want to believe them. I don't really know what information I need to make good decisions. So over time, we started helping people through the actual sales process as well. And then we started charging for that, a fee for service. And then more and more people kept coming to us saying, oh, look, I've got an investment property in, Perth I want to sell, or Adelaide or Queensland, and we'd be like, well, we'll see if we can find you an agent there. And then we realised that there's this demand. We trust you, Veronica. We trust your team. We realise there's this demand for people who really are out of depth in knowing not only which agent to choose, but really key answers to key questions that they need to be able to make so that they can choose not only should I sell this and who should I sell it with, but what method of sale, how much should I realistically expect to get for the property? In fact, is it an asset I should be trying to hold at all costs? There's lots of questions that really need to be interrogated properly before a decision is made to go to market. And so you realise that there will be people halfway through a campaign and really they probably shouldn't have put it on the market in the first place. So there's all this stuff going on, and then people find they're trapped then. They're sort of in quicksand, and then they're just dying to get out of it with the least possible damage. So with all these sorts of scenarios, we just thought, you know what, we need to start offering a more of a holistic service.
Yeah, I mentioned at the intro there about how, most people only ever do this once or twice in their life. It is a very scary experience, and particularly 10 times if you're my age, and you will literally, you're a bit unsure of yourself. You're not quite sure. And I think you touched on something there, not necessarily knowing what to expect. And I think having someone sit beside you who you trust, particularly if other family members have recommended you, someone you trust is going to give you a little bit more confidence that you're moving in the right direction, because that fear of, not knowing what's going to happen, that's a terrible thing to happen in the latter stages of your life. How much of a demand are you finding? Is it increasing now that you're focused on it?
Yeah, it is actually. It's quite incredible that it is increasing, and it's coming from all sort of different directions as well. And certainly there's different life stages where you need to sell a property. Obviously people potentially the last sale ever, they're going into a nursing home or they're going into independent living. And that's really challenging because often their family might be, or their kids, for instance, might be my age. We're the sandwich generation, Gen X, right? So we're still looking after our kids, and we're also looking after our elderly parents, right? And often we don't even live in the same place or the same location, the same city as our elderly parents do. So, we're trying to help them from a distance, and that's increasingly stressful, incredibly stressful. And also our parents often don't listen to us. Weirdly enough, my parents my dad's not with us anymore, but my mum is. And at times they have asked me for property advice. Usually they've never taken it. They did take it when they did sell the house and they moved into their independent living unit. They did actually take that advice, and I was very pleased that they did. But previous to that, there's many times they've asked me for free advice and I've given it to them, and they've treated it, they've valued it for the amount that they paid for it, which was not much. But, so that's one end of life, or one type of transaction that is very emotional as well. There's so much packed into that. So having that distance, somebody that can sort of be the intermediary, but not just that, intermediary between them and the agent, because of course the agent's motivation is to sell the property. And first of all, it's to list it, and then it's to sell it. Everything they do and say is about that, which is great because obviously you want to sell it. But you also there's a number of other things that you need to work through as well. And you need the time and space to be able to work through those decisions and those processes at your speed. And that is one of the benefits, I guess, of having us involved.
Yeah, tell me about the service. So what do you provide? Is it all the way through from choosing the agent right through to the settlement? I would imagine that is the case.
Yeah, look, I tell you, let's wind it back even before choosing the agent. There's 4 key things that people need to be able to answer, or key questions people need to be able to answer before they decide to put their property on the market, right? And people will go to agents expecting to get all these answers from agents, but that's a problem, right? So we need to often talk to them about some of these things before they even get the agents in. And the first one is, should I be selling this property? I just spoke about people selling to go into a nursing home, but a lot of our people come to us and they're actually selling an investment property, and they might be selling it so that they can upgrade their home, or they can do a renovation, or it just may have been an underperforming investment. But really and truly, there's been times when people have come to us when they've felt mortgage pressure because, of course, interest rates are higher and the cost of living is higher. And for whatever reason, they haven't been happy with their property manager, and they've just felt that being in property investors is just too hard. And so we've actually looked at the asset itself and said, you know what, I'm not sure you should be selling that property. There's other things that can be solved that will ease your pain and will actually help you long-term financially rather than selling the property. And so just taking that pressure off. So that's the first question is, should I be selling this property? And then it's like, should I be selling now? And look, the answer to that is there's a lot of aspects to this. Should you be selling now because of your own financial reasons, or do you have the luxury of being able to time the market? When you sell a property, it's very important to get your timing right. Now, if you ask any agent, when should I sell? It's going to be now. And you might say, but the market's not very hot. And they'll say, it's going to get worse. If you say, but the market's hot, it's going to get better, they'll say, yes, but it's going to hit a brick wall and then it'll fall like drop like a stone. There's always reasons why an agent will say, you've got to list your property now, right? So that's the other thing. Should we be selling it now, or should we be waiting? Then the third thing is, how much should I expect for this property? Now, agents walk a very tight line here because, of course, they want your business. They've got to flatter you enough to get your business. They're also recognizing that other agents aren't necessarily going to tell you the truth. They're going to be flattering you as well. So they've got to sort of walk this fine line between giving you a realistic expectation that's not going to make their job too hard, but also not managing your expectations too much before they've actually got your signature on the agency agreement. So that's a struggle there. And then the fourth question, which agents are very well equipped to answer for you, which is, how should I present this property to take it to market? Should we take the tenant out? Should we style it? Should we do any renovations, et cetera, et cetera? And agents are brilliant at answering that question, but they're not great at answering the other three.
Yeah. The one in particular that I want to pick up on is about price. I mean, at the end of the day, price is fairly irrelevant, actually, because, and there's too much emphasis put on price. And unfortunately, that's a trigger for a lot of people making that decision. They'll go with the agent who gives them the highest price.
Yeah.
When it could actually be the most costly decision they'll ever make. So it comes down to the quality of the person you're employing. And that's where I see you play a key role, as being able to cut through all that BS. And so, look, don't worry about the price. Like, the price is irrelevant. It's all about the marketing and how many buyers, and therefore it's the quality of the agent that we get, Veronica.
Correct. It's the quality of the agent, and then it's the ingredients of the sales campaign. So it's how you pitch that price. And so price is important in the sense that in every state and territory in this country, there's different legislation around quoting, and pricing a property, what you put on the agency agreement versus what you can tell the market. So price is important for those sorts of things, because if you've got a crazy expectation on price that is totally out of line with the market, you're going to ruin your campaign if you go to market with your crazy expectations. So from that point of view, in terms of, the market will give you, if you choose the right agent and you do have the mechanics of the sale and the campaign set up correctly, the price will take care of itself. You'll get the best possible price that is available in the market for you at that time. But people get in their own way constantly, and some agents are not actually very good at managing campaigns, and they're quite bad at actually pivoting, if you like, with whatever the market's doing. Some agents we call them defenders, and they get really set in on a particular, get fixated on a price, and they won't actually bend and flex with that according to what the market is telling them. So you've got to be looking for so many different elements and characteristics of an agent for mastery in all of these areas, so that you choose the right one that can handle and manage whatever conditions are out there at the time.
Yeah, I want to ask you two more questions. I'm going to leave the cost one, what does it cost to right at the end? But before I do that, how do you feel about well-meaning family members wanting to get involved? And I can understand this. An elderly person saying, I want my son to be involved in this, or the son wants to be involved, because at the end of the day, they're going to inherit, what is left over. So it's important they play a role. But how do you feel about that? Because, quite often they'll be trying to protect that family member.
Yeah, I totally hear you. The thing is, one of our sort of approaches to business is transparency. So if they want their family in, we will actually allow that family member full transparency. But we do have to be very clear on, you've got us involved because you want good guidance. So let's not try to muddy the waters. But secondly, also, we've got to, get everyone involved that needs to be involved. So there's full visibility and they've all got their eyes open. But we need a decision maker. So as if you want to bring, son John in because John's really good at this sort of stuff, then is John making the decision or are you going to be making the decision? Because we need to be really clear on that, because when you get into a situation where you've got multiple, fingers in the pie and everyone's trying to argue, we need to establish that very, very early on to make sure that we've got absolute singularity of purpose here and we're all on the same page.
Yeah. Hey, what's the cost, Veronica?
Yeah. So look, I'll tell you, it's a bit of a roundabout way, right? We used to charge complete fee for service for this, but the industry as a whole, anybody who does offer vendor advocacy service, they tend to charge a portion of the sales agent's commission. Now, we typically will charge a $990 consultation fee up front, because the thing is, you do need those answers to those questions without being contingent on you selling a property. So I can't have my fee contingent on you selling if really the wrong thing for you is to sell, So sometimes we waive that. If somebody's going to a nursing home, for example, they have to sell, we will waive the $990 consultation fee. But for everyone else, it's extremely valuable for them to get that. And then the balance of it is taken as a portion of the sales agent's commission. And in the selling side, as you'll well know, Kevin, sales agents are used to paying referral fees. And so the sales agents that we deal with, their common feedback to us is, well, we're just paying you a referral fee, but you're actually earning it, not just flicking us a name and number and clipping the ticket. You're earning it and you're adding to the transaction. The three parties work together as a team to get the best possible result for our mutual client. And that we've even literally just had a Google review yesterday from an agent that said pretty much exactly that. So that's the sort of result that we're after. And that's why, we charge the way we do, really, because that's what the market determines, even though I personally prefer to charge fee for service.
Veronica, congratulations. I think it's a great service. It's very much needed, and I couldn't think of anyone more capable to do it than you. Seriously.
Thank you.
You're such a lovely person and so caring too. If this really is something you'd like to follow through on, Veronica's website is gooddeeds.com.au.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I really appreciate the chat.
Property deductions can save you thousands of dollars each year. To make sure you maximise deductions, you need to work with the most experienced quantity surveyor in the country. BMT Tax Depreciation is the leading specialist in the industry. They've completed over 700,000 tax deduction schedules for residential investment and commercial properties Australia-wide. BMT guarantee to find double your fee in the first full financial year deductions. Call BMT on 1300 728 726 today for an obligation-free quote. Subscribe now to Realty Talk. It's out every week.
Now, high density and more apartment buildings are being touted as critical to solving the current housing crisis, with recent figures indicating that nearly 10% of our population live in apartments and up to 16% in strata accommodation, depending on who you read and who you're talking to, with nearly half of existing apartments being rented. So around 2.5 to 3 million Australians are involved with apartments who belong to some 350,000 odd strata schemes, I can't even say it, right across the country. And the majority of which are run by professional strata management companies. But for many years, apartment owners and advocates have raised concerns about hidden fees, conflicts of interest, overcharging and side deals being struck between strata managers and service providers. So is your strata manager ripping you off? Well, to delve into this troubling subject, we're joined by 20-year veteran strata lawyer specialist and fellow podcast host Amanda Farmer from Your Strata Property and Lawyer Chambers. So welcome to Realty Talk, Amanda.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Bushy.
Now, Amanda, I guess to kick things off for the uninitiated, as a strata lawyer that works with many different people in the strata property space on pretty much a daily basis, what does a strata manager do, and do you need one?
Yeah, a strata manager might also be called a body corporate manager. Your listeners might know them as, or an owner's corporation manager. This is the person who is hired by the building to help with its day-to-day running. These are the people who will hold the books and records for the building. They will coordinate the strata meetings. They'll send out the minutes of those meetings, arrange the insurances, operate the bank accounts, send out those pesky levy notices, among other things. You don't have to have a strata manager. It is possible to self-manage, but as our strata communities get more complex, the legal obligations they have get more and more onerous, it's often a really good idea to have a professional strata manager in place to guide the owners.
Yeah, I'm guessing that trying to self-manage in a world where, you just don't know what you don't know, then that could be potentially pretty dangerous, I would have thought.
Yeah, there's a lot of compliance these days. There's a lot of legislative change, reform happening right across the country. And I hear from owners who are trying, often in those smaller strata plans, 2 lots, 4 lot strata plans, trying to go it alone, trying to save a little bit of money. They're coming a cropper when it comes to these compliance obligations and having to bring in the strata manager. It's a good idea.
Yeah, could well imagine. Now, I guess jumping to the heart of the subject, in May this year, the New South Wales government launched an investigation into one of the country's largest strata management firms, which is Strata, and that is ongoing. Why was this strata management investigation necessary, Amanda?
Yeah, so even earlier this year, the national broadcaster, the ABC, revealed that the fees that Strata charges its clients for arranging their insurance are actually 3 times the typical rate charged for that service. Now, we call these brokerage fees, and they're quite common in the strata space. But the difference with Strata was not only that their brokerage fees were exorbitant. In some cases, 60% was added on top of a client's insurance premium, where the industry average sits at about 20%. But the fees themselves were being paid to Strata's wholly owned insurance arm. So Strata was essentially wearing 2 hats, being paid twice, arguably for the same service, being paid once as the strata manager to arrange the insurance, and again as the broker, being paid a brokerage fee for arranging that insurance.
Massive conflict of interest. And I'm assuming it wasn't disclosed either, I'm guessing.
Well, this is the thing. The ABC News reporting also acknowledged that there's nothing illegal about this practice. There's nothing in the law in New South Wales where Strata was and is with these practices, nothing that stops a strata management company from charging a 60% brokerage fee. Some of the other allegations against Strata was that they're accepting benefits and gifts, that they have other wholly owned arms, fire services company that they were referring their clients to. And there's nothing in the law that's against it as long as there is disclosure. And Strata have said, as other strata managers who engage in these practices have said, we disclose these practices in our management contracts. So there's no problem here, nothing to see.
So that's in the fine print in 9-point font that you need a microscope to read, I'm guessing. But, how common are these sort of kickbacks, secret commissions and conflict of interests in strata management then, Amanda?
Yeah, I think you've said the word there, Bushy, conflict of interest, and I agree that that's what this is, even though there may be nothing against it in our legislation. As long as it's disclosed, as long as it's in your contracts, it's okay. I think it's a real problem. I think it is a conflict of interest. And look, it is common, to answer your question, without that express prohibition in our legislation. Yes, taking commissions on insurance premiums, charging additional fees, other types of practices that present a conflict of interest, they are baked in to the business model of a lot of strata management companies, often the larger companies. And what they do is help to keep the appearance of low management fees, because if you've got a manager getting income by other means, from insurance commissions, broker fees, by running some subsidiary service company, they don't have to charge as much for their actual strata management service. So when you look at the front page of that management contract where their service fee is listed, it looks competitive, and owners don't realise, because they don't read the 9-point font in that clause 9.2 at the back of the contract, they don't realise that they're actually paying more in other ways.
Pretty scary. I've sort of deep dived on some of this in preparation for the interview today, and we're talking. It's a bit of a bait and hook technique. So make it cheap to lock them in, and then excuse my French, but rape them behind the scenes. And some of the numbers in the profit levels that some of those strata bodies are making, directly feeding their own organisations, is pretty scary, to the tune of millions of dollars a year. So pretty scary.
Yeah, look, I want to be clear that in terms of that $1 million plus profitability, NetStrata is a bit of an outlier in that respect, but there are other large companies out there who are enjoying those profits. There are also many, many small, medium-sized companies that really struggle to make money in this game, and feel that they have no resort but to turn to insurance commissions and other revenue streams. And what I say, and other professionals in the space say, is that what we really need to do is to start showing owners the true value of their strata manager, to encourage them to pay more for their management fee, or to pay, let's say, what their manager is worth. And I think there's a real education piece in there, both for owners and managers, about the value of your strata manager, what they do, and how they help to preserve, if not increase, the value of your investment.
Yeah, it's like any business. You need a critical mass to make it profitable, and if you're not managing enough, then yes, you're pretty much forced to look at alternatives to make it pay. So good thoughts. So bring this to a head then. What's your advice for property owners who may be concerned that they're being ripped off by their strata manager then?
Absolutely. Number one, get your hand on your contract with your strata manager. So this is a contract between your building and the strata managing agent. If you don't have a copy of it, then ask your strata manager for a copy of it. It's often called an agency agreement, but it would be attached to the notice of the annual general meeting where you last engaged your strata manager, and have a read of it. You know, as I said, these contracts that the ABC News was looking at, they've said that's there in the fine print that these companies have subsidiaries where they are funneling through other fees and commissions. That's all there in the contract. Have a read of it. If you're looking for a new strata manager, if your 3-year contract is coming up for expiry, then definitely shop around. There are managers out there now who are providing fixed fee services. They're not taking commissions or other benefits. And you might think that their base management fee is high, but in the long run, you may end up paying less because there's none of these hidden charges lurking in the background. And absolutely ask questions. I think the best thing that's come out of the ABC reporting and the subsequent investigation is awareness. Owners are getting the language that they need to ask questions about what they're being charged by their strata manager, and that's a good thing. Don't be afraid to ask those questions and make sure you understand what you're getting for the money that you're actually paying.
Yeah, I often say, Amanda, in anything in property, there's the only dumb question you ask is the one you don't ask. And if you don't like the answer, keep asking it until you understand what they're talking about, because there is a tendency at times for players in the space to try and baffle with BS. If it's not making sense, keep on asking until it's clear, and then you can make a more informed decision on what feels right for you. So brilliantly said. Look, we've only just scratched the surface, but I really want to thank you for these quite eye-opening insights, Amanda. And we suggest that anyone who's serious about apartments tunes into your very informative podcast, Your Strata Property. So thanks for your very generous time on the show today.
Thanks, Bushy.
Here's how Realty's Discovery Search works. Now, think of AI as an assistant on your real estate journey. How AI works is by using algorithms and data, the words that you use to describe the type of property you want. By entering what you want, the AI learns and makes predictions or decisions, and then shows you the results. So rather than searching by suburb and then property type and land size and so on, simply type in or say what you want. The more you use Realty's AI Discovery Search, the more accurate it becomes. This is Realty Talk, powered by realty.com.au.
That's it for this week. Please join us for more property news each week with Realty Talk and Get Invested. You can do that by subscribing to The Property Hub on all podcast players. Join the conversation on Facebook too. Just search for The Property Hub Collective, and please give us a like and follow. Thanks to our supporters and content partners realty.com.au, BMT Tax Depreciation, Know How Property Finance and Apiro Marketing. Until next week, all the best.